Smart people know when to have the humility and the wherewithal to go, I need help.
And not be ashamed of it. It's okay not to be okay.
Yep.
It can be intimidating, particularly if you have no relationship to therapy. We are interdependent beings. We need other human beings.
Especially in a community like the epilepsy community. So, hey, I'm Greg Grunberg, and welcome to Talk About It, the podcast where we focus on topics that everybody should be talking about, and hopefully they will, or not only talking about, but screaming about.
Epilepsy shouldn't keep you from doing anything that you want to do.
Talk about it. Talk about it. Talk about it.
This season, we are going to continue to talk about living with epilepsy, like my son and millions of Americans who do. We're also going to be looking at other related conditions and causes. Our goal is to knock down, drag out, eliminate stigma, and raise awareness. Oh, and hopefully have a laugh or two along the way. Each of our episodes will feature amazing advocates and champions. We will learn together how to make a real difference in our own lives and in the lives of our communities.
Talking about it is important. It's all about connecting.
Talk about it.
Talk about it.
Talk about it.
Talk about it.
Talk about it. Talk about it. Thank you for talking about it.
Thank you for talking about it.
New season, new look, new sponsor. Thank you to Neurelis and everyone at Neurelis for sponsoring Talk About It. Talk About It is also sponsored by Jazz Pharmaceuticals. Thank you, Jazz, for always being there for us. All right, let's jump right into this episode of Talk About It. Welcome to this episode of Talk About It. What am I holding? Well, I'm holding a ticket bowl. This is something that I need to make. This is something that I love to give out to friends. I make this, I'll explain how I make it later, but this is part of my therapy. Therapy is so important. Therapy is what everyone needs, whether they're dealing with something or not. We're all dealing with something, right? But more than just family and friends, you need someone that you can talk to. I have, for the first time, started going to therapy, and it's the best thing that I've ever done. I have therapy in art that I make. I have therapy in exercise that I do. But learning about therapy, knowing how important it is, that's what we're going to learn today. And we're going to learn from one of the people I admire the most, a therapist named Brian Wry. He is so incredible. He can articulate what I'm trying to tell you much better than I can. That's why he's a guest on today's episode of Talk About It. All right, so I'm so excited. Full disclosure, Brian is my therapist, and I am proud to say that. Let's bring him in right now. Brian Wry! How are you, buddy?
Greg, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I know I just broke the the protocol.
Well, no, I mean, one could describe it as a protocol, but it's whatever the patient, what they're comfortable with.
Oh, that's true. Right.
Yeah.
Because I brag about you, and yet you have no slots for anybody. I'm like, oh, you have to talk to him. I'm like, yeah, he can't. He can't. But, dude, so happy. Thank you for taking time. I know how busy you are. You know, we started meeting because I'm freaked out about my hair and the alopecia and the whole situation. But I never knew anything about therapy. I think it is just so important for everyone now. But talk to this community. This is the epilepsy community. These are caregivers and patients. Why is it important for somebody, whether an official, therapist or someone else to talk to? Why is it important?
One, I appreciate that question. It's a great question. I'm on the side of smart people know when and where to always get help.
That makes sense.
It's really important. At the end of the day, it's like to have the humility and the wherewithal to go, I need help.
And not be ashamed of it and not be, that's the thing. We've talked about where it's like, it's okay not to be okay.
Yep.
That whole thing. It's like, maybe it was our parents' generation, where it was like, I don't need to talk to anybody. Now, everybody's got something, and you have people around that want to wrap their arms around you. Like, because I didn't know really the details of therapy. I didn't know what it was about. I'm like, am I going to get analyzed? So talk to people about, like, they don't know anything about therapy, and they're thinking about finding a therapist. Should they be scared? What should they be thinking?
No, they ought not to be scared. And it can be intimidating, particularly if you have no relationship to therapy. It's like, what is that therapist going to provide? Who knows? And it depends on what you were brought up in. If you were in an environment, and I was brought up in that generation of like children should be seen and not heard from. right? And you don't discuss your problems with other people. You're left to basically figure it out on your own.
Yeah.
And so we're in a period culturally where there's information overload.
Yeah.
And now we can go to ChatGPT and have our problems answered in a nanosecond. Though what's lacking is, at the end of the day, this understanding that we are interdependent beings. There's a lot of evidence, and they've done tests, okay, and studies where if you isolate an individual and take food and water away from them, they will eventually die, but they're going to die quicker if you isolate them, if they're not around anyone.
Interesting.
So there's evidence that we regulate in proximity, okay? Our neurophysiology, when we're close to some other human being, we regulate our whole body. So there's truth, this understanding that we are interdependent beings. We need other human beings.
Yeah. Well, especially in a community like the epilepsy community. So, there's such a stigma attached to it. People are ashamed. They feel like it's their fault. You talk to me, and we talk about being a caregiver. I mean, I talk to you about what's going on with our family and with Jake and everything. But as far as Jake's concerned, Jake's had therapy, and it's so wonderful for him to he expresses himself in a way. It's a safe place, and he feels like he can express himself, and he'll say things to his therapist that he doesn't say to me, doesn't say to his mom. I mean, he's a grown man now. He's or share with his girlfriend and everything. And so we talk about, you're not alone. Like when you just said what you just said, it really struck a chord with me, because our community, you want to know, hey, you're not the only one going through this, and especially when you're holding your child when they're having a seizure. You literally feel like no one understands this. I don't care who it is. They're like, no one gets it. No one gets it. And come on. And you're talking to God. You're talking to whoever. You're just like saying, please stop. And so you feel like no one will understand it, so you can't talk about it. So just creating that community. And it just, when you said that, like we need to be around other people. We need that connection. It's really important.
Yeah. And I'm so grateful and fortunate that even through our relationship, again, I'm a parent. My daughter only 2 weeks ago was officially diagnosed with epilepsy.
Yeah. You didn't even know that, Nick. Yeah.
No.
We're in the middle of therapy. So by the way, you're going to get a bill. We're in the middle of our session. But Brian contacted me, and he was like, hey, I just connected him. That's all I did. Mm-hmm. But I was so happy that I was able to help. And your daughter is, by the way, brilliant, med school, like she's incredible. And still, and that's the nature of our world, is getting to the right person for that, that you need.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I totally forgot. I wanted you on the podcast. I didn't even think about that. And that's so true. Like, you're part of the community now.
Oh, yeah, I'm part of the epilepsy community. And I can flash back to, I was in front of my daughter when she had like her first seizure. It was the day before Thanksgiving 5 years ago.
Wow.
And she just luckily she was sitting on a chair chatting with us, and she went into a full seizure, and I kind of didn't know what was going on. And again, the fear, what the heck is going on? And, immediately got her to St. John's during the height of COVID and couldn't go in, couldn't accompany her, that whole nightmare of COVID. And feelings of things are out of our control, and how terrifying they can be, and it's almost 4 years, and a couple other seizures for her to get the diagnoses, you know.
I this is a question that I think you and I have talked about. In the epilepsy community, much like the 12-step program community, how people have chips and they're like, okay, I've gone this far, I've gone a year, 5 years, whatever. In the epilepsy community, there's this pride, and rightfully so, in saying I'm seizure-free for, 1 year. I haven't had a seizure for. There's two schools of thought. I want to hear your counsel on both. Do you encourage that? Are you setting yourself up, especially in the epilepsy community, like where there's so many variables and so many triggers? Inevitably, I hate to say it, but something is going to happen. Either you're going to have a seizure in your sleep, you're going to have a seizure, you're going to have some sort of a petit mal seizure where you're going to something, hopefully not. But the harder you grab onto that, it's been this amount of time, you're sort of just building up. And the longer it takes, the bigger the disappointment I feel. Although Jake says it, and I don't discourage him. We're happy about the time that he doesn't have seizures, and it's been a long time.
Again, it's a really great question, Craig. It's a great question.
That's why I'm the best podcast host on the planet, Brian. Who do you think you're dealing with here, buddy? Come on.
It is because, okay, so I immediately go to someone walking into a 12-step program. The moment they surrender,
yep,
and they get even one day creating a habit of abstinence, thus their sobriety.
Right.
So they're free from, okay? So where it's different in having a diagnosis, and I'm just at the beginning of really understanding all the complexities of epilepsy. I'm a newbie.
Yeah.
As a father with a daughter that recently got diagnosed. And so the advantages of the acknowledgement of going seizure-free is significant, but it is a difference because the epileptic is not creating like a habit of abstinence from something that they were drawn to.
That's a really good point.
So there's a subtle difference. And at the same time, it's like if the acknowledgement of being seizure-free is a resource, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, it's a power over.
Sure.
It is empowering to be able to say, and by the way, I think a lot of people are in control of whether they are putting themselves in a position to have more seizures or not. I mean, if you're not drinking, you're taking medications. So if you're not drinking alcohol, if you're not doing drugs, if you're exercising, you're getting the sleep you need, taking a nap, eating healthily, all those things, that's something to celebrate. And that's empowering to say, and I guess it's in the same respect as someone who's battling, substance abuse, but to saying I have taken control over this. So, look, my hair loss. I'm on this medication and I'm hoping that it kicks in and like little hairs growing here and there, whatever. But I read these stories where it's like these people, they go a year, 2 years, and suddenly their hair finally grows back and then it falls out again. I'm telling you, to go through this again, that's why I want to bring back Kojak or a show that I can, I want to embrace this. And I am embracing it. But at the same time, that disappointment is the thing that makes me cringe at the idea of celebrating too much.
That's partially because you're realistic also. And it's also understanding that we have to form a relationship to disappointment, unfortunately. That's part of like the arc of one's adulthood. Mm-hmm. We have to recognize and understand and know that we're going to go through disappointments on the continuum.
Right. It's a journey. It's a roller coaster.
Right. And, at this point in my life, it's like the understanding that there will be significant losses and challenges in life. And we all have to come to terms with it. And hopefully we all have enough coping mechanisms and enough flexibility to go through those challenging times.
Coming up on Talk About It.
How do I find a therapist? How do I find the right therapist?
People have to be mindful that it is a process. Not every therapist right out of the gate is going to be the right therapist.
Yeah.
It's through our relationships that we're going to find the person that it's going to resonate with us.
Just wanted to pop out for a new segment that we're going to do called But Wait, There's More. Therapy doesn't always have to be heavy. It doesn't always have to be traumatic. It doesn't always have to bring back old memories and you're digging. It can be funny. It can be friendly. I mean, I love my therapist. He's the greatest guy in the world, if you haven't noticed. But here are some of the greatest moments from TV and film that have therapists and clients in them. First of all, The Sopranos. It was used as a device to tell story. Some of the funniest stuff, some of the best relationship stuff was in The Sopranos between Tony Soprano and Dr. Jennifer Melfi. And then just to go down the list, Good Will Hunting is an obvious one. If you haven't seen that, you need to see that. In Treatment, Girls, another great one with Lena Dunham in therapy. Big Little Lies, The Prince of Tides, a brilliant movie. Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, Euphoria, and of course, The Departed, incredible. These are just some of the ones. You can just watch that. That could be therapy for you, and then you can talk about it.
Someone is listening right now and they have been thinking about finding therapy. Where do they turn? They have no clue. Where do I go? How do I find a therapist? How do I find the right therapist?
Again, another great question. You're right on point.
I am betting 1,000. I am seriously betting 1,000. I wish he was nice when we're actually in session together. I have never received a compliment from him, ever. It's always like, you're the worst. The worst. I'll see you next week. I'm like, what?
So I think that people have to be mindful that the process is a process. Not every therapist right out of the gate that you meet is going to be the right therapist.
Yeah.
And so you want to be productive and give yourself an opportunity to interview and ask the people who have therapists, any recommendations. I find it's through our relationships that we're going to find the person that it's going to resonate with us.
I mean, that's how I found you. I mean, it was a friend that recommended. So, and you know what? You just brought up something I completely, I think, blocked out. I may have told you this, Brian. I don't know. But so when Jake was first diagnosed, Elizabeth and I, this is a great thing. I'm so glad I thought of this. It's recommended, right, by the hospital or the foundation in this case. The Epilepsy Foundation said, you guys should really get into a therapy group. Just another, so you can have a community like we talked about. So we go to this one group, and in the group there was people, one guy was like, my daughter's been seizure-free for 20 years. Another person was like, my son has so many comorbidities. He's in a chair. He's a nonverbal. He's whatever. And I couldn't find a mirror. I couldn't find anybody in the same exact situation. And it was very discouraging. So then we said, okay, we're not going to do this group therapy thing. And so we went to a therapist together. Elizabeth and I went. And it was a therapist that was recommended by a friend. I forgot who recommended it, but it was the worst recommendation ever. And we went to her office. And we were both like, hi, how are you? And by the way, couples going through, and you're listening right now, you know what I'm talking about. If you're a parent and you're, co-parenting somebody who has any issue, but epilepsy especially, there are fights. I mean, you are taking your frustration out on each other, and you're not mad at each other. You're mad at epilepsy. You're mad at the uncontrolled nature of this and the unpredictability of it. All you want to do is control and bubble wrap your kids and make them as safe as possible. Anyway, we're sitting, we get into this, and I said, hi, how are you? And she's like, good. And she's looking at the two of us. We're on a couch. And then she goes, okay, so Elizabeth, she was like, when did the seizure start? Something like that. And she was like, and I said, oh, it actually was. And she goes, I'm sorry, are you Elizabeth? And I was like, what? And she goes, I'm talking to Elizabeth right now. It was so right off the jump, Brian, just talking down to me. And I was just helping Elizabeth jog her memory. I wasn't even going, no, hon, that's not right. I mean, it was crazy. And I thought, okay, wait, this is not MFCC. This is not a marriage, family, child counselor. This is, we're just having a conversation. So right away, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to just get some fresh air. I literally was like, which is something that Brian has actually taught me, just go, oh, my phone, I got to go. I had to go outside. I was going to blow a gasket. So we knew right away, and Elizabeth was lasted in there another 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and she came out to join me, and she was like, I got my purse. I took my purse with us. Let's go. She just wasn't the right fit.
Right. And when you're interviewing and meeting a therapist, you have to, again, rely on questions. Ask them as many questions as possible, and you'll get a feel. You also have to understand that it's an honest year to get to know someone. Yeah. So it takes a year to really get to know someone. And again, you're stepping into an experience that is process driven. It's not like going to the acupuncturist or going to the doctor and getting medication or like quote unquote a treatment. It takes time, and it relies on yourself in terms of like you wanting to know what you want to achieve out of the experience and where you want to go.
That's a good point.
We have to hold our own feet to the fire.
Yeah. But it is, I do understand people know or having the feeling that they feel like they need to talk to somebody, but they don't have any specifics. Like I stopped, 5-6 sessions ago with you. I don't do any homework. I don't come to our sessions, and you don't have to feel like you have to have that homework, guys. If you're listening to this, you will get just as much out of just a casual conversation, because your therapist, and I shouldn't say this in front of you, but this is what you do. It's like, we have a conversation. You're gleaning little things from our conversation. How I'm acting, how I'm responding. We talked about the physical. You can, you say, you pick up these physical cues from people, right? And then at the end of the session, you always leave me with, and I'm not saying other therapists do this, I don't know, but you always leave me with something that really is thoughtful. And I go, wow, that was really interesting. And it was based on our conversation. And we're just BSing about stuff. We're talking cars, we're talking a show that I watch, whatever, family, but it gets personal because I'm opening up in a way that I just feel comfortable with you. So I just urge people to not worry about it's like getting on a medication. I don't want to start with a therapist knowing that it's never going to end. It's up to you, but know and give it time. Give it time. You're not going to get answers in 1 session, 2 sessions. So plan for that.
Right. And there is a model, there is brief therapy. There is short-term therapy that you can come in and address something quite specifically and have a different experience of it in like 8 sessions, even less. And it depends. Everyone is unique, and every case is unique, and you have to hold on to that.
I just want to put a fine point on the interview process. So that is something in your business that somebody calls up and says, I just want to interview. So it's not an hour. Are they paying for that interview, or no? It's just
No, I'll have a conversation and how can I help you? And do you have any specific questions for me?
Right. And then you, as much as they will say whether it's a fit or not, right? Have you said, I don't know if I'm the right person for you?
Yes. And therapists have an ethical obligation to, if they get a sense that something is out of their scope of practice, they just refer on.
Ah, okay.
And that's part of the process also.
Okay.
I want to get back to epilepsy. How did you go through the process of realizing there's the old saying, therapist, heal thyself. But this is like a real world application of it. How did you go through, your daughter has epilepsy. This is a condition that's going to in some way affect or influence the rest of both of your lives. But you have all these tools. Was it easier for you to apply them to be able to kind of fully encapsulate what you should feel about this? Like, how did you go about that? And then how does that help you shape what you say to other people who just found out that they have an epilepsy diagnosis?
Again, great question.
Not as great as my questions, though. I mean, let's just be clear here. Jeez.
Well, you pay him.
That's true. Yeah, you're right.
He has to say that.
Nick, so my initial thought and reaction was first and foremost as a father. It scared the living daylights out of me, okay, initially. Did I overtly freak out? No. So my initial response was, wow, this is really interesting. On the heels, the last 3 seizures were within the last year. So they weren't spread out. So that was like, something's up. And luckily I was able, through your referral and resource, was able to get to USC relatively quickly.
Yeah.
So the answer to that question, as a father, yes, I was concerned. And the potential, what does this mean? Is it like is she going to be subject to managing seizures, or can you go for a length of period with them with the proper? I wasn't even educated around the medication options and what are the procedural options for a patient with epilepsy. And I'm still just getting recently educated on it also now. So I was first a father, and then using the tools, it's like I encouraged my daughter to go, we got to follow through with this. As a parent, I go, did you get the medication? She's 31, she's an adult.
Yeah.
Though I did badger her a little bit because of my own anxiety. And she reassured me, Dad, I'm on it. I'm titrating on it. And, she's scheduled for an MRI. And I go, did you make the call? And so, I'm tailgating her like a dad would, and being respectful that she's still an adult. Yeah, we've been pretty level-headed about it, too.
Coming up on Talk About It.
Caregivers do run the risk of burnout, focusing on the other person to the extent that it becomes almost totalizing. caregivers can also get sick because they're negating and neglecting themselves.
So in addition to this, obviously, I do the Caregiver series at thecaregiverseries.com. There are so many tips on being a caregiver, learning from all these incredible caregivers that I take out for a day of care all over the country. So definitely check out thecaregiverseries.com. But I also love to get together with fellow caregivers and discuss. It's kind of a group therapy session, but what we do is I bring ticket rolls. I bring raffle ticket rolls. They start flat, and then we make them. You can see in this video all of these wonderful people, and we're all discussing things, and we're sitting around, and it's wonderful because when you're not looking eye to eye with somebody, you're more apt to be kind of honest and let your stream of consciousness go, and it's lovely to be creative. And then you make something like this ticket bowl right here. Now you have something in your house that reminds you of the community that we have built, that the people that are around you support you. I mean, there's metaphors for this. You can hold all the people you love close, put all your thoughts and your, worries and everything into this bowl, whatever. All of that is important, and you could set your own, inspiration. Find your ticket bowl. Find your little piece of art. Find your card tricks, your book, your music, something that can take you away for a few minutes every day, and give you that self-care that you so deserve. Let me ask you about, the therapy. Like, there's apps that you can get some therapy, and there are 1-800 numbers and whatever. So you don't have to do the traditional route. Is that as beneficial, or does it not matter? Whatever fits that person?
I want to say yes. And at the same time, from my own experience, my caseload, I don't know if I had anyone that was reliant on apps. So I don't really know the efficacy of someone relying on like a therapy app at all. I don't have that in my experience.
But it is, I think, the business side of it, obviously it's a business, but I do think it's good that more people have access to, therapy at different levels, different financial levels, to whatever. I love that. I'm just looking for the people that are out there that are like, oh yeah, that's a rich person's thing. They can't do that. It's like, you know what? For some people it is, but for others, insurance will cover it. You just got to check your insurance. That's people don't even realize. It's just as important.
There are numerous community and neighborhood mental health facilities out there for those who can't afford a therapist. And most good therapists we kind of have an ethical obligation to provide often a sliding scale, and have a percentage of our practice, no fee, low fee, a portion of your practice filled with folks that can't afford you also.
Oh, that's nice.
And it's also, therapists are running a business also. They have their livelihoods to take care of also.
Yeah, of course.
And again, there's great community resources it's a training ground for new therapists too. And believe it or not, a newly trained therapist and a student therapist can be very effective and be very beneficial and helpful in providing therapy to people.
Yeah. And I just encourage people to don't believe everything you read. Like, people on social media, everybody's perfect. And, it's not the case. People are showing a side of themselves that they wish. It's wish fulfillment, and it's not real, So don't try to aspire to what other people are going through. Don't be ashamed of what you're going through. Everybody's going through something, and there's help out there. I also encourage people to go to their local chapters. Search for your local epilepsy chapter. They have help there. They have resources, people that can point you in the right direction for therapy. And also, this is one form of therapy. Wouldn't you agree? There's also, like I was discussing, making bowls, art, music. Nick and I are in a band together, and that's therapeutic for me to get together and play music. So there's different forms of it. Obviously, we're talking about getting your feelings and emotions out, but the others are just as important.
Very important. And, in terms of those of us in the caregiving side of it, caregivers have to be really mindful / if not vigilant in terms of their own care, meaning that when we're taking care of someone, initially it can be completely overwhelming. And we end up focusing on the other person to the extent that it becomes almost totalizing. a very fine line that caregivers do run the risk of burnout. And it's a very serious, caregivers can also get sick, and they often do because they're negating and neglecting themselves. And so you have to be on the side of like, how can I take care of myself? One of the questions I always ask anyone that I start therapy with is, what's the one thing that you do to restore your soul? What's the reset?
Yeah.
So caregivers have to be open to forming a relationship to restoring their soul, even in the face of something very serious, someone's welfare that you've chosen to be responsible for.
So important. Yeah.
And if you think about it, most of us adults really don't privilege that, or even the idea of what is restoring your soul? What does that mean? For me, it's that reset.
Yeah.
That was a game changer. Holy crap, I did that.
Yeah.
It's a true reset. You don't even have to know. You just have to be open to it.
Yeah. It's something that we refer to, like I've used the recharging of my battery. There's so many times when I don't take enough vacations, and not fancy schmancy vacations. It's just go, just get out, just do something where you're not thinking about or burdened with. And again, it could be somebody's listening right now going, yeah, that's easier said than done. I have no one to help me. I'm sitting here with my son and they have epilepsy. I get it. I totally get it. But this could be the short resettings. Take a quick walk, lay down, listen to music, have an art project, do something. I know as silly as some of that sounds, it really helps. Like we go on a vacation, I come back from a vacation and go, man, I needed that so bad. Yeah. I was on the phone with Dennis, who's my mechanic and also one of my dear friends now. And being a mechanic, like the cars never stop coming. And I'm like, how you doing? And he goes, how am I doing? He just got back from Guatemala. He had a vacation and he got back and he was like, it was incredible. And he goes, Greg, I need to take that. I need to do more of that. The cars are never going to stop coming. Right. I'm never going to be like, I finally finished that transmission and the next one comes in the door. So the problems with your loved one, and yeah, you have good days and bad days. It's always going to be that way. The roller coaster is going to go up and going to go down, but you need to get off. You need to get off that roller coaster every once in a while and put yourself on solid ground and go, okay, all right, let's go on the whirlybird. I mean, like you need that time, right? Man, what a great analogy I just made. I just came up with that, Brian.
Spot on.
I'm sending you an invoice.
It's spot on. You want to be also open to inviting variety. Try this on for size. In LA, go down a street that you've never driven down and you go, oh my God, I've never seen that.
That's so true.
So a reset could be by just taking a different street. Holy crap, I've never been down here.
Wow, that is, by the way, I almost broke my chair. How many times, like Elizabeth and I will be like, we just went. A friend of mine, Christian Vincent, incredible artist, he just had a gallery opening, and we went, and we were driving, and I was like, where are we? Because Waze took us through this community, and I was like, this is beautiful here. I forgot about everything in my life from that 5 minutes that we were driving through. I was like, this is amazing. God, Brian, that's really smart. Love it.
So, because the brain, we crave variety. And anytime the brain sees something new, it just sends a flood of dopamine. And again, I'm not a neuroscientist.
Yeah.
So anything new, it's like, oh my God, I feel good. It's a state change.
Yeah, really smart.
And again, we don't think about like, oh, I have to change my state.
Right.
And it's really important to understand that that's a great resource.
Yeah, I love it.
Real quick before we wrap.
Yeah.
Brian, I just want to let you cook for a minute on people using ChatGPT as therapy. What is your response?
Okay.
See him get angry? He just got angry. He just literally clenched his fist. He was ready to punch something.
You're tracking my micro expressions, Chris. You're really great. You're looking at micro expressions. So it's completely fascinating in territory of mind blowing of what it can do and the speed of it. It's also every question you ask it, your thoughts and who you are being documented. Every inquiry that you have or question is being tracked now. Never in the history of mankind has this ability to have like a true blueprint of your psyche.
Are you saying that for privacy issues?
I think about even recently of me putting in things on my own chat GPT. It's like, wow, they're tracking me.
Yeah.
So that's one thought. And then again, I go to this idea, Nick, specifically that information can be valuable and we still need another human being. Unfortunately, there is something to be said. Because of COVID, we went from in person to Zoom. And even in that experience, it's effective. Though when I have someone in my office, it's a different experience than a flat screen. And again, I can only chalk that up to the interpersonal, like we're interdependent beings. Our nervous system regulates when we're in front of another human being. It's like understanding that we're gregarious. We're pack animals.
Yeah.
In essence, we're a species that needs to be around other. In my business, it's like, I'm just here to help people have better relationships with whatever, be it themselves, an issue, a challenge, or another human being.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just helping people have better relationships. That's my training.
Although I have to say, every time I ask ChatGPT a question, they answer with, "That's a great question," which is the same thing that Brian did during this entire conversation.
That's a great question.
That's a great question, Greg.
No, I think you're onto something too about just also, I wouldn't trust something that inherently is amoral. You have a morality and you want the person to achieve their best self, however that is, whether it's them doing recharges. And this ChatGPT, its goal is to answer your question. So it will pull from whatever it needs. And that's why I would get, I think it's great at what it does, but I don't think it's a good therapy.
I agree
clearly,
with that. No.
with what we're seeing in the news.
Oh, yeah. It's quite alarming, too,
Yeah.
And the dependency. And I think that there will have to be some guardrails as there were with the internet, too.
Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, we're like long, but I just love this. Brian, thank you so much for your time. I mean, this is awesome. And I hope everybody got a lot out of this because I did. And I might be tapping into this resource again. I mean, for personally, I'll see you, I don't know, Wednesday or next Wednesday, but we might have you back on the show, if we have more questions, if that's all right.
My good pleasure. Okay.
You're the best. Brian Wry, everybody. Thanks, dude. Appreciate it.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Talk About It with Greg Grunberg. Sponsored by Neurelis and by Jazz Pharmaceuticals. Thank you to our special guests for joining us, and thank you J.J. Abrams for the theme music that you're hearing right now. Talk About It is produced by Ken Lowenberg, Greg Grunberg, and Nick Marzok. Editing, directing, and incidental music by Nick Marzok. Go to talkaboutit.onvideo.com to watch these episodes, and as always, don't forget to talk about it. This podcast is a production of the Talk About It Company and Motel Podcasts.